What's up, guys? We are back, episode 8, Dacquisto Series podcast. Today we're here with Brad Kuhnert. He's his first special guest of the podcast that we've had yet.
Yeah.
And today we're going to dive into essentially the history of the saddle platform. I mean, we're going to go back to some of the first designs and some patents that Brad worked on back in the day. We're going to dive into the new harness that we have coming out for you guys that are hunting out of saddle-type platforms, and we got a pretty good array of topics here.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. First guest on the series, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Long
time no see.
Cody Dacquisto, Brad, Andre Dacquisto, Kurt Geyer. We're trying to do that, even though if you're here, you should know, but thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, this is what I like about this is because I think right now, and I don't know, me and Cody are the same age, so we have more of a related perspective on what is saddle hunting right now, and I think a lot of people are under the perception that it's a new thing or a newer fad type thing, and it's not at all.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a misconception. Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of the outlook right now, Cody?
I think right now with how popular the DIY stuff has become, and like just the lightweight and all these different apparatuses that people are using, and more of the mobile scene. You know, kind of like we discussed before, like mobile hunting really isn't a new thing. It's just become more popular. It's like bell bottoms. Like people start wearing bell bottoms, and oh man, these are awesome. Well, they were wearing those back in the day. So same thing with saddle hunting and small platforms. You know, so that's what we're going to dive in. Brad Kuhnert, you can introduce yourself. Northern Wisconsin, hunter, saddles. Where did it begin?
The bell bottoms of tree stands.
Yeah. I'll
go high-waisted jeans.
Bringing
a
it
little
back.
more applicable there, but it's fine.
Yeah. No, my background is basically from my hunting has been northern Wisconsin, public land, pretty much most of my life. And started saddle hunting in 80s. Anderson tree sling was what I started with, and just like everybody else was on tree pegs, tree branches, and it worked good. But in time, I was like, jeepers, I wish I had a platform to put my feet on. So I just started, thinking how to come up with something, and so probably early 90s, somewhere in there, I had a buddy of mine, and we started welding up a platform that I could try, and it worked, but it was probably 8-9 pounds. It was all steel and welded, and
we have it here.
Yeah, we actually have a series.
He's an educated man, so he was smart enough to say, "Hey, enough of this shit. The steps.
Yeah.
I think I can do better."
Yeah. So this is.
Yeah, go ahead and hold her out there and show it off.
That is a dinosaur.
Yeah. This is where the saddle platforms started right here.
That's the beginning. That should be in a museum one day. You think that's what'll happen?
Yeah.
So what year was this?
This is probably early 90s.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, even where we're at today, where the platform and this step to me has always been a key to allow you to rest your feet when you're up there, and also to be able to pivot. And get a shot off. So yeah, this was just steel welded up, and
we actually.
Do you need a hand holding that up?
I mean,
could you hold on to it for me for a while?
It's got some weight.
How heavy this is
7 pounds, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool though, man.
Forget about the weight to start with, though. It's the whole idea of turning around, facing toward a tree and hunting, and not sitting on pegs. So you got to start somewhere.
And that's where I was going to come in. So, on curiosity standpoint, so in a time where there was tree stands,
that was your technology there.
And well, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, what got you away? Like, why didn't you grab a hang-on? Were you just like did you start with a saddle? Did you hunt on tree stands? Were you ever a ladder stand hunter, or like what? Because I don't think I've ever even heard that. You know, I knew you came up with it back in the day, but what got you to grab the saddle? Like just hiking in farther? Or?
Well, at the time, I mean, most hang-ons were pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't, they were 12, 15 pounds. So even this, as heavy as it is today, was still a lot lighter. And part of the concept that I had back then was I've always used the saddle and the hang-on combination. It's never been, one or the other.
It wasn't saddle versus stands.
Right.
Like
people
try to make it out.
It was always, to me, it's been another tool to have.
Yeah.
Ever since day one.
So back then, what were you, with that particular setup, what were you attached to the tree with at that point?
That's what I was going to ask.
Or am I skipping ahead here?
No, you said the Anderson
tree
Oh,
sling.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I thought Anderson, because I'm honestly unfamiliar with that.
So you started with an Anderson, and then you're morphed into your harness.
Yeah, and then I, used some of the other saddles as they came along and used them. Mm-hmm. But
let's work through the progression of this here. I mean, so this is another one. It looks pretty similar to this would have been like a second
that was
model.
the late season
right?
model.
And
looks like it's got a smaller footstep.
Right,
the late season model.
Yeah, yeah. So this was basically the same, but this you're exactly right.
Yep,
this was a little smaller, and the first one was just not long enough.
So I never even seen that. You were using boat anchor rope around the and that's a bent hook.
Yeah. You hadn't invented the Versa button yet. So
got the job done though.
Yeah. So this was just rope strapped around. And,
rope on model.
And at that time, you could use screw-in pegs and stuff like that. And a part of what I was using this for was where it really came into play was going back in.
Yeah.
I mean, back then you might be carrying 20, 25 pounds in. Mm-hmm. So having this littler model to go in the scouting, if I was carrying 25 pounds, I might have only went in a 3/4 mile, and just said that's enough. Well, even back in the day with this, I was able to get in farther because I was carrying less.
And it was uphill both ways.
Well, of course, and 4 foot of snow.
Yeah,
and there it was.
Yeah,
actually, that was a mild winter. What were you using to get up into these? Were you screwing?
Yeah, screwing pegs back then. Yeah, okay. Pretty much. But what this allowed me to do was, as I was going in maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles, carrying something lighter in.
Yeah.
Then once I got there and I found the spot I might have wanted, where I did want to hunt, then to lug in that heavier hang on or whatever I was hunting out of.
Yeah.
So in theory, I mean, I always did, shoot everything out of, let's say, the saddle or this, but it enabled me to maybe find some spots that I normally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I would have never started carrying
a big scouting tool.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Just to really,
and it's almost like it is nowadays. I mean, that literally, you cut the weight of your operation down in half. So now you can get in deeper, hunt longer, scout longer. Really, so even though that's a 7-pound stand, he was running around with a 15-pound hang on back then. So
yeah.
So you're cutting down your weight. You got.
So this is actually, and I'm going to skip ahead here. So now that we've seen that, we can see the progression. This intrigues me because looking at it, and Dad you guys can verify this for me. But when I look at this one, I see like you might have met the old man at this time because now we got certain extrusions from the Lone Wolf line back in the early 90s, and you got certain units that the hang-on was used for, right? Like those were the hooks. And then it looks even more streamlined.
And I noticed that you
got one tube instead of the.
Did you notice that his platforms now started coming out a little further from the tree? So
and then you got more of an angle. It looks like for probably that
smaller
more
foot peg, bigger peg
feet.
platform. So
or we could let Brad tell us.
No.
I
get this one. I get this one after the show.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's when I met Andre and.
Started using some of his components.
Right.
It looks.
And him and I were talking about it at that time.
Can you put a year on this one?
I mean, and you
probably 95.
And it doesn't look like it'd be but it's a lot. It's you got 2 pieces of angle iron here. You got the double V's versus just these aluminum extrusions. It's significantly lighter. Like this was an improvement for sure. So I mean, it's definitely taken steps in the right direction.
And the platform's even thinner with struts now, so they started getting the support on the bottom.
Sorry, Brad, I didn't want to cut you off. I just think it's interesting to throw years at them if you can. Especially for guys me and Cody's age, So
and exactly right. That's I started talking to Andre and about the saddle hunting and back around 97, 98, I wanted to come out with that platform, and kind of where we maybe getting to today, but at that time, like Andre said, who are we going to sell to? The 6, 7 guys that are out there, hunting like you are. But there was a lot more always out there than what a person realized.
I think where this morphed into, if I remember right, didn't you come in? I think you showed me that at a show, and then you seen that lightweight aluminum stand I had, and it was almost like, wow, you got a stand that's as light as my stand. So it's like almost you went back to hunting a little bit of a hang on.
And I think that's where this one comes into play now, right? Because
the next one is that one that down.
This one right here, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, there's one more in between.
There's one more.
Oh,
right,
is there one?
Right there? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here we go,
dude. I love this right now. This is cool to see.
Here we go.
This is insane.
This is a true mobile hunting history lesson right here.
Yeah. So
VersaButton. There you go.
Yeah. Basically, there got less weight again and got the VersaButton in there. So kept cutting down in weight.
Yep.
But exactly what you're saying, Cody, you're 100% right. I knew the cast platform was what I needed to get this weight down where I where I wanted it to be, because with welding this and it's just going to be too much weight.
Well, and I wondered too, like at this point, did you notice, especially being up in northern Wisconsin in those really harsh winters, were you getting that noise out of were you getting the pops and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That was definitely a problem that you were seeing too.
that weld, a little bit, that type of material you'd get, it wasn't like there was a lot. You had your whole boot on there, but still, definitely in that, 90, 98 range, 97, 98. Definitely, had been talking to Andre a lot about eventually, needing a casting of some type would get the weight down and the compactness of it, because none of this was folding up.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's rigid.
you're still carrying it, it just...
even my tree stand started out that way, all welded in the open position, bulky, and then you just, as you went on, you changed up.
Even now, coming into this one, you see, like now, this is a cast. It's a cast platform. It looks like it was the top off of the old hand climber.
Seat, versus small seats.
So this right now would be your first 100% aluminum model, it looks like. Like this is aluminum, right? Well, you still got the steel hooks on there, right? But like now, you're light. You're getting there.
That was
Yep.
I got to see that thing, man.
I bet you were like just amped to be hunting out of that thing. Like that was. That's it's just,
that is so nuts.
It's the progression.
Yep.
This is just cool to handle and see.
Certified welds and
graded bolts.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Now is that? Did that strap come on at the? Yeah, that looks like one of the old.
I was going to ask too. Now,
strap?
did you stray away from the VersaButton for a little bit then, or was this just kind of just messing around? And
this one I had it lower where the VersaButton was.
Okay.
It just getting
you need
too much leverage.
A little bit higher up there.
So in this one here, needed to be higher.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
I wasn't hunting out of this one.
But now
too long.
We are. It must have been you must have been hunting out of that one for years, and I'm sure you guys were talking back and forth because the Assassin, like we talked about in previous episodes, the first ever like commercially offered saddle platform that people didn't even probably know what to think about it when they seen it was what 2004?
No,
2007,
8.
Yeah. Oh, was that late?
Right when we sold the company.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was okay. So
8 time frame.
So it was after the camera, 2006.
I don't know.
Or
I was
same year as camera?
Still doing some consulting with Lone Wolf, so that was probably right at 07.
Well, so delving into that. So this was the brainchild between all of you can kind of go through that, but.
Yeah, this was the start of it. Yeah. This here is the platform, and right here where these tabs are, and besides bringing, I guess, the platform to the industry, what came with this was the mini sticks.
Yep.
This is where the mini stick started.
So two little tabs there. You can carry a couple small sticks on there.
Gotcha.
Yep. So we had just taken the existing Lone Wolf.
Yeah.
So sticks at that time and cut them down. And I made them to fit on the here.
Right in there, huh? That is awesome.
Step, a little higher pivot point, and folding down now.
Yeah. So here's where the start of the.
When this launched, what was the response?
Went over general? Like a lead balloon?
It didn't go over it was just too early for tree saddle.
Well, time.
It's just funny. You see these trends, and like you go from something that hardly sold to where like, oh, well, why are we even offering this? To now, this stand, you'd see it on eBay, and people were nabbing them for $500 because they were like, oh my god, we want that. It just it's fashion
Well, yeah,
industry, but
the only stand in the industry that in 2008 you bought for $180 and roughly in that range. And in 2018 they were selling up to $750 on the internet.
I know a guy who worked
crazy.
his way through college buying and reselling these things on the internet.
Really?
Some guy was telling me a story. That's what he does. He was doing it.
Really?
No, so I mean, you knew then there was something to it.
Yeah.
The people that had them.
Well, that was now, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So we offered it. We had it on the market, and it didn't go over great until we stopped offering it. People used it, and then it became. So we knew we had something when XOP was selling a bunch of seats.
well, yeah, it wasn't. I mean, you're talking like 8 years down the road,
Right.
Like,
So these guys are out
After
there.
this.
yes. Then all of a sudden, people are wanting to buy
Buying
replacement XOP seats and doing all these DIY mods to make essentially assassin platforms because you couldn't find them anywhere. Now they were going a little lighter and a little smaller, but it was literally you're taking the blueprints from this design. The upright beam, and they were taking a seat, because if you look at this, it is kind of designed like the top of a lone wolf. It's got all the same technology. So yes, that became huge, and it was just, and that's when we all started talking a few years ago, like, well, it's coming. Somebody is going to do a saddle platform again.
All the guys buying those seats up and stuff. So now it's time, right?
Yep.
So,
And then that's when your companies like Tethered came up, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh man, Tethered made this." Well, it's it's
A version of it.
Yeah, a version of it. So now leading in, from this is this right here would have been
and them back on them seats, though, to be used, them were never designed to be used as a platform.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Just is where.
Well, how long was this on the market for?
a couple years?
Yeah, probably 3-4 years.
Really? It's that long, huh?
Yeah, I think they had them.
It's so cool to see, and just to look back on now, like what it is now to then. It was I don't want to say a flop then, but just like the timing wasn't
No,
there.
it just wasn't.
well,
yeah,
like the hula
it's-
hoop. Remember?
Yeah. So
You remember that? You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Skip along or whatever.
So some guy came and had an idea for a hula hoop. So he went into all the stores, got everybody to stock them, and not one of the damn things would sell. So all the vendors took the hula hoop and threw them in the garbage in the alley. The kids found them, started playing with them, and that was the start of the hula hoop.
Really?
And it just expanded and blew up. Same with that. Just not a lot of guys. Nobody knew about it yet. It took a little bit of legwork. So, and now it's like, it's the fad, right?
It's a thing
You
now.
got a couple of Dacquisto series in there, a couple of Lone Wolf stands. You got your XOPs. You got a couple of these. I mean, the guy's got an arsenal of equipment that they're going out afterwards. So,
And then, too, you made a good point earlier, and I feel like this is worth hitting a little harder. How you said it, you kind of used the saddle platforms along with the hang-ons, and I think people who are smart about mobile hunting see that each one applies for different situations, and they'll keep both those platforms in their arsenal for whatever they're wanting to do. It's not saddle versus tree stand hunters. It's not tree stand hunters versus saddle hunters. It's fun to kind of,
and that's kind of what it seems to be.
It does.
You get
It's
this,
annoying a little
You
bit.
get this separation like it's Ford and Chevy, and it's
Exactly,
It's,
yeah.
you know, it's weird. Everybody's taking their equipment, and if you start adding up your saddle harness with the stand, they're all morphing about the same weight. So you're just trying to change up one for another, and then whatever fits your fancy. How you like to hunt your style. So
yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like we need to hit that, and maybe because custom gear is more, known for the hang-ons and stuff like that, is, the saddle game is part of the game in general, of our game, of mobile hunting. So we need to get rid of that saddle versus tree stand bullshit, I think.
To me, it's,
I didn't know there was in it.
Yeah. To me,
there definitely is a divide.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure, yeah.
On the interwebs.
Yeah, on the
Facebook,
on the line.
well, not to us older guys, I guess.
On the Instagram.
But to me, it was never that way. To me, this is just another. Saddle hunting was another tool. It was just another tool. There's no way that most hunters in their whole career of hunting have not went in somewhere and all of a sudden wished that one little tree they had a way to set up in that, which with this would allow you a regular hang-on wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's allowing you to get into them areas. I mean, you hunt in some of them swamps, some trees are so small, you're not with a saddle too, to me, I'm looking a lot of times lower than I would with a hang-on. You're trying to utilize that cover, and now even when you're low, you're using that tree to block you. Even no matter how small that is, you're still set up for that tree to be between you and in the game.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, it's just another tool. It is what it is.
Right. Of course. I think that's mostly more just the newer people that are into the saddle game will stick to that. Then they want to be like, I'm team saddle, Yeah. So I think that's maybe all it is.
We got the best saddle on the market, so saddle tree stand, so you might as well get one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, where we're at now with the new ambush.
Yeah, I mean, do we have one sitting right there?
Yeah.
I think it's worth pulling up, especially after
the
evolution of. That's really cool to see, is to look at all of them in an order like that.
So now we got the Ferrari. We're getting lean. We're getting mean. We got
Ferrari.
Lightweight, strong.
Don't forget, awesome looking.
Little Italian design in there.
Yeah, I mean, this design here was basically the Assassin was perfect, except the weight, size a little bit.
Yeah.
So the things that I didn't like about the Assassin needed to be changed, and mainly was the weight issue and just compactness. And this has it all. I mean, gets a little more length, the width.
Now, the other thing is, I think we had enough insight to do is you notice that this is quite a bit bigger than some of the saddles that came out.
Yeah.
And where guys like to think that, they want that small deal. I got up there. I'm not a big saddle hunter, but I got up there knowing that, man, I don't know if I want to be sitting with both my feet together and not be able to get a stance for a shot.
Yeah.
And that's what I think appeals to people now, a little bit bigger size, too.
Oh, yeah.
Than
well, you
taller.
can see the sizes as we were showing them.
Yeah,
I was definitely getting bigger each time.
Yeah.
To the point, I wanted this. This is perfect now. This is lightweight, 4.5 pounds, and a huntable platform.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and
big enough that
you
can turn around and hunt anyway. And
even the profile is probably the biggest thing that I would think too. Like, you don't realize it, but with like the actual girth of the the rungs and the thickness of it now being at that one plane, it's so much more streamlined too. So you shaved a little bit of that excess size.
And
off.
we didn't have the experience in designing that too, so you see how we beefed that bottom up. I mean, that was super over. We had 350-pound guys in there. We didn't want anything breaking.
Yeah.
So there was like an overkill. Now you got a few years under your belt of experience, and with this new technology, we're able to get it lighter and just. Man, I think it's a.
Talking to our buddy, we call him Mr. Whitetail Drifter, Connor Wakefield. He's been using the hell out of that lately, and he'll post like pictures of him just standing, like giving himself a break, and just standing upright on it like a tree stand platform. And with some of those other platforms, there's no way you could do it.
Yeah.
Your shoulder would be
didn't
hitting
you
the tree.
hunt opposite this year?
Yeah, I was actually I just spun around on it and was just standing on it like it was.
There's literally enough room where you can stand, freestand, and face the other direction if you want with a. And your new belt, not a segue into it yet, but would be perfect for that too. Now you're not limited to sitting and hanging in somewhere. You can make a move. Well, I'll let you get into that, but so this is where we're at now. And then were you thinking of maybe doing for a guy who wanted it, maybe even just a smaller version down the road if somebody wanted to still that?
No,
it's simple to do.
Definitely do a smaller version.
Yeah.
There's a couple versions here that I didn't show yet, that I didn't bring.
Tiny.
That I had before. So
gotcha.
There's a few things, but the one thing too I wanted about this is the sticks. That was always a key point too. Once we got going, was like with the Assassin having a whole system.
Right.
And now, I mean, them sticks the way they're designed now. I mean, there's no way you're ever going to. I mean, that setup is as compact as it can get.
Right.
Well, with even the Dacquisto series and with this,
I don't think we can get any.
Well, that's what so many people I think overlook, and it's more than just a climbing stick, and it's more than a stand. A lot of people showcase these different products like, oh, I love the Hawk whatever sticks. Okay, well, can you put the Hawk sticks on the Hawk stand, and do you have a Hawk system that really is the most beneficial for you? So everything in the design standpoint was not, okay, let's make an ultralight stand, or let's make the new, but we want everything to work together, because it truly is a system, and that's when you get efficient. And when you're efficient, you start killing deer. I mean, that's...
Yeah, you can have light everything, but if you're jumbling around sticks that aren't fitting together, it weighs nothing. What's the point of getting it in there? And Right.
I mean, this there'd be different ways we could have designed this a little bit, but it's designed as a system.
Yeah, it's slick,
and,
man.
And so that's all. Part
Again,
of it
how
right
do you
there.
get any flatter or more compact? We've got there now. Now we start working that system.
Going any smaller, you're going to sacrifice like huntability, and then what's the point? Then so.
Yeah,
I mean, what is it? 5/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
I mean that's.
Yeah, and that was
solid, so that's.
Yeah, and that was part of it. Is once, and this is back into the 2008 time frame.
Yeah,
is when I was coming up with my own harness to use, and the saddles. You're basically sitting. Once I went to this platform, the saddle isn't something I really needed anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, using the saddle was not conducive for me with this stand.
And that's a good segue. I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I want to let everybody know where we're going to with this. So, this is a perfect time to get into this. So, Brad, let's kind of paint a picture for everybody. What's coming from Custom Gear? The new harness. We're not calling it a saddle harness, but the new harness, the design, kind of where it's a lot better than the currents, and I don't think a lot of people knew that we had have a harness coming out. So just kind of explain that and like the patent and the ring system and just
yeah. Well, when there's limitations with the saddle. I mean, the whole time I was saddle hunting, there's just certain things, the way it was attached, the limitations on drawing at times and just, what you had to do and move and in time some of that, all changed. But for me, it was like, I had early on, when I was out of high school, I had done some pole climbing and worked up on some, poles and that. And that lineman's belt, I mean, since the 1800s or early 1900s, there's linemen up there morning till dark working on transformers and them poles. So that concept was, how do I get something that's comfortable around your waist and at that angle where you're attached, where you're a lot more maneuverability.
Right.
And I'm sure in your evolution, hunting an Anderson, you probably got caught a few times.
Oh, yeah.
With that.
No.
That bridge right in the way, I couldn't get over the top. Well,
that's what I mean.
I'll have to look up an Anderson because I don't know what they look like.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm getting at. Paint a picture for everybody who might not hunt out of saddles or might be looking to get into a saddle. Yeah. What is it about a saddle that's kind of a pain, and what did you like? How did we fix that? How did you fix that?
Well, I mean, basically your bridge was right. Everything was attached right here.
Mm-hmm. Dumb it down.
Anderson.
Bridge is how you attach to the tree, right? Like, so that's your. So is this a fixed position up top that you have this, in your bridge to your waistline, right?
Yep.
It's a big piece of webbing in your way when you want to take a bow from the right side to
the
left.
What it is. I'm just saying, you got to realize a lot of guys are might be looking to get into saddle hunting, so let's explain to them. Let's.
So the bridge would be coming off the tree and then to each side of your waist. Coming down?
Yeah, it depends on what, back
how the
then,
harness is designed.
The Anderson tree sling was just more a piece of webbing and then up.
Tall.
So basically, like Andre said, it's just something that's right in front of you.
Yep.
And in time, it did cost me, where you're trying to move or get a shot, and I was like, how can I change that? Mm-hmm. And that's where the concept of, okay, I got up in the tree, I'm in my lineman's belt, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
But you can't have that belt rubbing on the bark.
Right.
And that's where the idea came, how to get rid of that movement and attach, and that's where I came up with that ring attached right to the tree. So now all your movement is inside the
And
ring.
it's a small triangle now instead of out here, so even to get up over the top even makes it even more efficient to go right, left.
Well, and then going back to a couple other Dacquisto podcasts we did is I talked about I like to shoot a longer axle bow. They just feel better to me. And a lot of guys that are deeper into the archery game, into the hunting game, I think are the same way. So that's what turned a lot of those guys off from the traditional bridge setup saddles is what happens if you're shooting a 35 or bigger axle-to-axle bow and you got to get over here. I mean, you're going over, or it's concerned with the pinch of your string, drawing back and hitting that bridge. So I think that right from the get go just turned guys off and made them no longer look into any type of saddle hunting after that.
Well, and I think that depends too. I don't know how I don't understand it in my mind. I can't wrap it around. I tried it this year, but to make that easier, you almost have to go on a more harsh angle away from the tree, which is in turn putting more pressure on so you know what I'm saying? So these guys aren't the guys who the guys who might not be experiencing this are literally like got their feet against the tree, right? And they're so far back at an angle, literally laying down, that they can easily swing over. But
so
then
again,
where is your?
You got to remember now that because of his evolution of this stand, now it went from a sitting type of harness to a leaning type of harness.
That's what I'm trying to paint that picture, that this is this system, because like a lot of people now you wouldn't want to run something like this if you were standing on a peg. Because you couldn't, you're probably less upright. So this is where, it's more beneficial because it's easier on you. You can stand up, you can relieve tension, you got your footstep that you can relieve, change your position. And now you're way at a less angle like this. I tried that, and I just, on such an angle, my feet were getting ice cold, my toes were falling asleep because I was just jammed so far back, and it was cool for like 25 minutes. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like fucking, I was doing the old like switch around thing and taking selfies, and then I'm
look at that 180 incher behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
and then my toes fell asleep, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is kind of. But then I just was like, you know what, you got to use it, you got to stand on it, you got to be able to be more upright. So, and that was my take on it. So it's kind of a
perfect for your new harness. It's a little both if you want to.
Yeah. And not to say you can't loosen it up, right? You can loosen it up.
You could loosen it up. But it was more just what Andre was saying earlier. It's more designed as something you're just leaning back in. No different, like I say, like the linemen that are up there. They're leaning back. You don't have really any pinch point or anything because it's all the way around you. Yeah. And then at that angle, waist angle, it changes. It's a game changer, on how that works. And once you get in it and use it, you realize, and the platform size allows that. Just what Cody was saying, that step, that's huge. Just about to lift your foot up, move it a little bit, and relieve that tension, from one leg to the other.
And a small thing like pivoting now up top instead of off your platform, you're tethered in kind of tight. There's nowhere for you to go if you're starting to pivot down there. So now you can get up a little higher and you can get that angle you need to get around the backside of trees. So it's a more versatile. Yeah. You can tell somebody did a lot of hunting and had a lot of experience over closing the deal in it. Where there's a lot of guys out there probably hunting right now with those big bridges that you're going to find out the day that it comes time to make a move at the last minute, they're not going to be able to do it, and they're going to figure out.
Well, that was the thing that always concerned me, and I don't know what the term is with like the
weak side, strong side.
Yeah. Like the weak side, where you kind of with a traditional main like a hammock style. Yeah. It's kind of you're kind of sitting in a hammock in a way. Yeah. Whereas like, okay, you got a deer over here, you're just gonna swing around here and draw, and that's like you just made some big huge.
And I want to make movement. So I've talked to a lot of guys in developing this now that I don't have a lot of experience with this that have been. Well, he's been as long as 15 years hunting a saddles. Don't get me wrong. There's guys have got that system down and that are very good with it. But your average Joe just getting into it's going to take some years of being able to master your craft
for sure.
For sure. Where this other one, I mean, I was messing around. I could do almost a 360 on that, get from one side to the other, and I wouldn't even worry about making a last minute move on something in that type of harness. So
no, it's just another, for the guys that want to use the saddle, that's great. It's just another just a different concept that I have. Option. But this what you were saying for you.
I want to interject on it though. Okay. I don't want to interrupt you, Brad. But this is also a great thing for tree stand hunters to use. See, because I've been hunting out of a rock climbing harness for years, and I love it. I don't like the full body harness. I don't like how it comes out of my neck. I don't like it. It makes me cold. I have to cut my clothes to customize it, and I don't like it. And I've been using a rock climbing harness, and this harness is an awesome way to hunt out of a tree stand. Just give yourself a little more slack. Use a traditional tree tether like you would with that's what I do, traditional tree tether, and then you just have a kind of a loop coming to the front. But what's awesome about this is you can slide your ring over, and you're not attached dead center. So all you guys using a rock climbing harness, this is going to take the place of that, hands down. Yep. It'll be awesome.
That ring's key. I mean, because every little movement's inside that. I mean, it's just
you're not rubbing on the tree like you said with the regular lineman's rope and all that. Yeah. I love it, man. That when I saw that come out would have been 2019 ATA when you guys were showing that off at first. I was like, that's what everything's going to go to, and that's my perspective. But you know, I've I haven't hunted really at all out of I keep calling it traditional saddle setup, but the hammock bridge style. Yeah. I've messed around with them a lot in the yard, kind of practicing, and we had some camera problems, but we're back. I don't remember what I was talking about. Something about, I think I was getting to the weak side of the tree. If you have like a, Andre's 204 that, because I messed him up on that one podcast where you didn't kill that giant, but you end up killing a bigger one the next day. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was getting to the weak point of the tree. If you got a giant like that, a big mature deer, swinging around like that was concern for me to try and get your shot. Whereas with your setup, you're in the ring, so you can kind of just pivot.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah,
to do that for sure. I mean, and part of that was back to what I was saying before with that saddle a little bit is with the design of this type of platform. You don't need with leaning. You don't need to sit as much. Before with the saddle, it was more designed because there was no. You needed to sit all day. You couldn't stand all day on tree pegs.
I'd like to make a point too. If you wanted to, with this new one, you could lean her down low.
Yeah,
and get into it and sit all your weight on it if you want.
Yeah, so up to your preference.
Yeah, you got. Yeah. What I think is going to happen with this is like what happened with a lot of the stuff. You started out years ago. People went the big popular Anderson 60,000 harnesses a year. That's out there. A lot of people are out there. You're doing this, and we start bringing this to the show and let guys try it on compared to what they're using. Yeah. I think they're going to see the advantage, and now you'll see other manufacturers starting to bring the bridge down, try and, manipulate your patent on there. Follow the leader, basically. That's what you're going to try and do, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just another, it definitely is, to me anyway, it's just much easier to use. And that's why, I just kind of got away from the traditional, if you will, saddle.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to this, it's more of a, lineman's belt harness. It's not the hammock you're talking about, but you really don't need that, in my opinion, with this stand right now, because with the platform you have, and when you lean back, it's pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And like Cody said, you can turn, with that and turn around, and you can face away from the platform's big enough that you can just stand on a regular, just like you would normally on a tree stand.
For sure.
I know helping you develop this and just trying them out and then comparing them to others. Man, the pinch on them other ones was just, for me, I'm like, how the hell does this guy sit for 20 minutes in this thing? And his is up more on your kidneys and your waist, so it's almost like you're just cradled. Your center of gravity's in, and you're not. You don't have all that horrible pinch on the hips.
Yeah,
or on the legs.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like I say,
it's like a rock climbing harness, but more comfortable.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I mean, you got more stability.
No pinch.
What's your reaction? I mean, thinking back from that first stand we showed to now, and even just the industry and the popularity. I mean, did you ever think it would be this big?
I can't believe it's taken this long to get here.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I was ready for it in the 90s.
Yeah,
but just. Yeah, I mean, it's just great to see where it's going, and like for me, it's not tree stand, or a saddle. I mean, it's a tool. I mean, that's what people need to realize. It's another tool to
you go fishing.
What's that?
Do you take one bait when you go fishing?
I do.
No,
no, I do, but I got like 20 of them.
Yeah. No.
That's
it's just
number 5, white bucktail.
So going back then. I mean, did people in general think you were kind of nuts for doing what you were doing on these small platforms like this?
Yeah, like the 2 guys that seen you out in the Northwest you ran into over 20 years.
Yeah. But I mean, like when you were back at home telling your buddies or showing off like what you killed that season, were they like, what are you hunting out of?
Well, I mean, it was just a different, definitely a different concept,
Yeah.
I mean,
what are you hunting out of? Nothing.
Yeah. So, and then,
like I said, I still used, and I used the climber a lot too. I mean, I was in big climber country in Northwoods. When Lone Wolf tree stands come out with the climber, I mean, I worked a lot with Andre up, part of
and we were in not quite as far as north end, but the Nicolay National Forest, Land Lake County, all same type of timber, just big timber, all logged out, nice climber area. So that's where that all started.
But even
I mean, I guess what I was saying. I mean, there again, it was a tool. I mean, I never was one that's it. Everybody has to hunt out of this little platform and this. I mean, I was like, that was just a tool. I mean, I was using that. I was using climbers. I was using the hang-ons, and in the development of the sticks. When when you and I were in Anigo there, when you first come up with that idea, I mean, them climbing sticks. That was key. The start of the compactness of it, and even to using it later on with that mini stick idea that I had to go with my.
All those ideas came out of midair. Not looking at what someone else did. It's something that just was.
Well, yeah, you guys paved the way.
I wonder now. I want to ask. You mentioned something that made me curious. So that's all I hunted out of years ago in them upper woods as a climber. You could just about go anywhere. Were you seeking out lower, brushier trees back then?
I mean, I was hunting a lot of times in them swamps
on the edge there.
Right on the edge,
so you were getting in a little deeper.
Right, I wasn't in the hardwood part. Yeah. I was more closer maybe to their bedding. Yep. Where the the feeding, like you said.
You weren't getting a climber in there.
Right. I was trying to get pushed back in, and that's where a lot of times in them swamps, even then, there was such little trees back there. I needed to use that, and so when I was pushing into them areas, and we never even thought there was a need for that because there were so many trees, and we get on the edge, and it was all climber. We didn't even have a hang on back then, actually. Yeah. So that was just, and even up north too, you get them slashing, or they're, slashings up there, and a lot of times they're not leaving very big trees out there. So if you wanted to hunt in them scenarios, you needed a little platform, and that was just like I say. To me, it's always just been another tool, not any other than just another weapon for me, tool for me to use. I mean, there's always that scenario. I'd be in there looking, and all of a sudden, like, I need my little platform here, and next time I'd be in, it would be like, oh, this is perfect. Where I want to set up, I can use a hang-on or a climber. And
that's why we prefer, even small hang-ons to this day, even in climber country, because there's not a tree we can't ambush them out of. Any little thing that you find, you can get and go at, where you're limited kind of with a climber.
For sure.
Yeah, and the other thing that I liked about this, too, were in some of them areas when I was with them little trees, was they tended to be, sometimes a little more crooked. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't find something long enough, and even where today maybe hunting in certain areas in Texas or different areas, them trees are so crooked, it's hard in them small trees to get a distance long enough straight, where this you only need about 10 inches.
10 inches. Right, that's a good point.
And it doesn't have to be a straight either. Right. It could be a
Right, and that's why even when I developed, that was the thing, too, that I didn't like about my original platforms, is I had no way to adjust the leveling.
Yeah, right.
So I was really forced to put it in a particular tree at that right angle, to make it work, where once I started with the Assassin and now with this, it allows me to put it in that tree and then change the angle of the platform. Because when you're in there saddle hunting, you want it tipped down just a little bit. Sometimes I think if the guys get in there and they keep it at a 90, when you lean back, it's going to kill your calves. So as you lean back a little bit, that's why the early ones that we showed always had that angle. Yep. Because when I lean back in the saddle when I was first hunting, that's as I lean back, like you said, Cody, you're quite a ways back.
Now you want to lean back, you can adjust it down. You want to have a straight one, stand up, level out straight. So
it's funny because I was reading like some of the comments on this series and comments elsewhere about the leveling capabilities, and people were like, "You don't need all those bells and whistles," and I'm like, that dude hasn't hunted enough out of some mobile setups.
Bells and whistles.
It's like, that's.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely you need the leveling, in my opinion. I mean, just because you're going to get to that tree, and it allows you to the situation of how far away you're going to be from that tree. And in my setup that I have, on the side, you can adjust by how close or far away you want to be.
Right.
So depending upon the individual, this allows you, maybe you want your platform down more than me. Mm-hmm. And by having this leveling in there, it allows you to do that. So, it's the leveling allows you to get in any different, trees that no matter how crooked they are. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's a feature you definitely need.
So these we got pretty much buttoned up, designs done. We do have some of these in stock now, and we're getting geared up for another run because we're just down to a few more, and these would be available now for the rest of the season.
Awesome, man.
Rest of the year, right into the season.
And all the trade shows coming up. People are actually going to be able to handle these. And
we'll be able to pick them up at all. What do we got, 6 more shows to do? Or
Yeah, we have
quite a few shows. So
Yeah, this episode probably launched during Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And then
Iowa
Deer Classic,
the Illinois Deer Classic,
Bloomington, Illinois.
you might even see Brad at a few of those.
Stream, Wisconsin.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, yeah. Come on down.
Give him a pass.
Yeah, and hopefully the Ghost will have that out by July or August.
Awesome.
We're hoping.
I think people are gonna eat that up, man. I definitely do. I think you're gonna see a lot of guys jump from that traditional bridge to that style.
Yeah, and some of the guys that that had a saddle, there again, it's just going to be a different option for them.
Yeah.
There to be a situation they still may want to use the saddle, but this here with that quick setup and how they're going to hunt it's just going to be just another tool to have
for sure.
And I don't think we have. You never officially said it. It's the Ghost harness. That was the official name.
The Ghost.
Yep. So
I was going to ask, but I didn't know for sure.
I've always hunted like in northern Wisconsin, so it's always the Ghost. You're always hunting a ghost up there, so the northern Ghost. But instead of
that's awesome.
Took the northern part out and just call it the Ghost.
I like it, man. I know, like what you said, Cody. Out of just the hang on, I'm going to probably use that in the Dacquisto series hang-ons. And hey, so at ATA we talked about naming the smaller version of the 1.0 essentially.
2.0.
It's still up in the air, huh?
Yeah, we have.
I'll stop doing this shit on the air. Sorry, guys. I've been calling it. Never mind.
The other stand.
Fuck me, right?
The light one.
I was calling it the 0.5.
We haven't officially came out with a name yet, but soon.
I seen an email where some guys came up with some ideas. Wolf Pop, Omega.
0.5.
We have a lot of submissions for the name.
0.5.
And we'll pick.
Little
shortly.
The DS5. We're all like mad at each other about it.
All right. That's another.
Well, man, what did we miss? I thought it was awesome just to see the evolution of this. I don't want to miss anything. So if we are forgetting anything at all, please call us out on it.
And that's a good segue into too. Like at a further date, we're gonna get Brad back and delve into specific tactics with the saddle, with the saddle stand, that sort of approach, different different things to look for, and more of an in-depth sort of kind of tutorial how-to type video. So that
last couple of years too. I don't know if people know, but he's been actually perfect film stand. He's been coming along and actually filmed the buck last year that I shot. So he's been using the ambush right up behind me, and I'm in a 1.0, and it's a perfect little setup.
That's a good point, man.
Yeah, no,
you get up there, just set her in real quick in the morning, and
for a filming stand, it's unbelievable. I mean, I went in on Andre. I mean, we no matter what set he had, we went in the dark, had never been there before, and we got set up and
just didn't have to worry about it.
No, it's so
you're going to get it somewhere in there wherever you want.
He just puts it in. A lot of times, you got where you're going to shoot, you got something cut out that you can draw.
Right.
And I just get on that side, and he'd put it up, and I'd step on his stand and step on mine right behind him, and you're perfect. I mean, you can go in blind in the morning and film somebody.
That's a good point. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to be utilizing that. And
so now you're not double sets everywhere. Your camera guy's got this little lightweight deal that can go right up in the morning, in and out. So
and a lot of it, that's there again, that the harness that I had worked because it wasn't like I had to get up, kind of at that normal angle. I just hooked right around just above where he was, just about, waist high, a little bit higher, just enough to be above him. And so a lot of times, like I say, it was where he had kind of a little bit of a spot to be able to draw.
Right.
We put it there, and I just had my harness right, at that waist height. So it was almost right. My harness was where when he'd lean back against a tree, would be right up against him.
We were thinking of selling a package, eh?
Yeah.
An ambush, a 1.0 with a camera, a two-man, run and gun filming set up for these guys for Whitetail Addictions next year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So,
I like it, man. I like it. Well, thank you so much for running us through. I'm not closing her out, but we didn't miss anything.
Well, if we're changing up gears, we want to probably going to shout out to some of those guys that made some last minute kills. Some nice bucks are taken in the final hour.
Clint Casper just killed a stud. He called me in the morning and said, "Hey, I'm going in to kill one tonight." And I said, "Okay." And then he called me. Actually, on the way home from Nebraska, called me. And my phone's ringing. I'm like, "It's not dark yet. Why is Clint calling me?" "What's up, mother? I got him." I'm like, "Oh man, he called your shot."
Yeah.
So he went in. He has the 1.0. I think he's running 4 full length. Or I don't know if he might be running minis.
Yeah, full length sticks.
Who else? What, Heath Cisco took one late?
Yep.
Yeah, he got
And
one.
there was
nice
one
one.
other guy, too, that I just seen a picture of your partner.
Oh, yeah. Austin Chandler got one.
He
yeah.
took a nice one, too. So.
Yeah, he got a nice one. He called the shot as well. Went in, hanging hunt.
We were at the ATA show while these bums were out getting the job done for him.
Chandler killed his right before ATA.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like, I don't know if I go to ATA. If I kill, I'll go. If not, I'll be hunting. And he got it done.
That's cool.
So.
Congratulations, guys.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for all the support. Thanks for viewing the show, listening to the show, leaving nice comments, and sharing this up. We appreciate all that. So,
Yeah.
anything else?
Tune in next time and go work for it.
Stay mobile. See?
There it is.
Hunt like a wolf.
You got to have a closer.
Yeah, you got to close it, Brad. Close it out.
What do I need?
Try to find the ghost.
Saddle and tree stand hunters unite.
Yeah.